internet, and welcome to another episode of My Cool Friends. If this is your first time being here, then let me just say, hello, how are you? There's punching cookies on your way in through the door. I am your host. My name is Ben Ebig. Online leaders depend on me to guide their audiences, to bring them all together in the same room through the Ebig matrix, all while overcoming the heart-stopping overwhelm of technology. Today, my friends, we have a very, very special guest with us today. Have you ever been in the stress of a launch? I have. It was last week. It was so much. It was so much. Let's just end the sentence right there. Well, today, my friends, our special guest, he builds, launches, and scales high-ticket application funnels for coaches and agency owners. What? Producer, you didn't tell me this. Oh, my Lord. Today, my friends, let's give a special round of applause for our guest, Mr. Brendan Kelly!
Woo! Thank you.
How are you doing today, fine sir? It has been too long.
I know it has, really. It's been probably got over a year for sure. Thank you for having me on. Look at that intro. That was insane. You know, who else introduces a guest that way? Nobody. You got music in the background. It gets you pumped up. So I'm excited to be here. How are you?
I am fantastic, and thank you so much for the fine compliment. I keep telling people one day I'm just gonna like push a button and then have pillars of fire behind me.
There you go. You should be the MC for another show.
Brendan, I'm first question of the evening that I want to shoot at you. In your own words, by your own definitions, how would you describe an agency owner?
In my own words, definition, an agency owner. This can get deep already.
Then go deep. Because... Put on your philosophy glasses.
No. I mean, the agency owner, most people think marketing agency, right? And when you go even deeper into that, what type of agencies are there? Like there's PR agencies, there's marketing agencies, there's government agencies. So right. It's like, if you look at it that way, that's a totally different type of thing. Agency owner, in most people's situations, can be somebody who provides a service, probably a team of people. Somebody who runs a team of people, has a business that provides a service for someone else. Does that?
Yeah, and it's that interesting thing that you touched on first, like, oh, most people think of this, but it can be so much of a broader umbrella.
Yeah. I mean, when you first think of agencies, I remember like I was in college one time and my professor's like, name a government agency. And everybody in the room's like, I don't know. And nobody said anything. And he's like, but these are all agencies. So when you think of agency, like in our world, it's like, I run ads or I write copy or I do this and I have a little team. But, the word agency came way before all that stuff. So, and then it's like, who runs a government agency? Right? Who's the owner? How do you call them an agency owner? So anyway, that's what I would say. Somebody who has a small team, provides a service, business owner for a profit.
Yeah, and that could be like, that word is older than so many of the like technology things that we put, like sometimes get stuck under that umbrella.
That's my off the cuff definition for you.
And you mentioned even in that story that like, oh, back when you were in school, like you had this conversation. Mm-hmm. One thing I found like very interesting and fascinating about you is that like you went to school for journalism and then you got into the online world of like selling stuff online through like Amazon. And I found that really fascinating because like I'm not sure if I ever shared this with you, but I also went for the same degree in journalism.
Oh, okay.
And then went towards selling on eBay. So I want to ask you about that journey because like from A to B, it seems like a weird jump. So for you personally, like how did you make this jump from one degree to selling online and then
Yeah.
eventually to here? Like, what was that sort of mental process for you?
Okay. So, and yeah, it's kind of funny because I went and studied journalism PR and came full circle because now I still do a lot of writing and stuff, more managing now, but I have several writers on the team who do all the writing that I used to do. So, really what happened was I grew up outside of New York City, probably 90 minutes, 2 hours from New York. I went to school all the way upstate in Plattsburgh, New York. It's like 20 minutes from the Canadian border, and studied PR and journalism there. After that, got my degree, came on home. And basically my big goal was like, all right, I'm going to go get a job at a PR firm in New York City, right? That was the goal. Tried for 6 months to a year and got really no traction whatsoever. So at that point, I don't remember when it was, but I remember I was sitting on my little long couch, the ones where it's like a couch and a chair and it's really long and you put your feet out. So I'm in my parents' living room sitting on one of those. And I found an ebook online. It was like $1.99 on Amazon. It was how to make 101 ways to make money on the side, or side hustle or something. So I bought a $1 ebook, went through all those, and they had crazy stuff like wrap your car in a Coca-Cola ad and get paid like $500 a month. Everything from that to selling on eBay. So that's when I first sort of said, all right, eBay seems like something realistic I can do. And I remember seeing all the infomercials back in the day, the late night infomercials on eBay where people are like, oh, I made 50 grand a month on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it was a real thing. And basically what happened was I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I need to make some money. I was working like 2 days a week in my small town as a waiter at the time. And I'm like, got to make some money. So I dug everything out of my parents' basement and basically said, I'm selling all your crap on eBay. And that's what I did. And then over the next like 2 months or so, I made my first $2,000-$3,000 online on eBay, and I was like, oh my God, I'm making, $50-$100 a night, working 2 days a week as a waiter. And then I went and made a few $1,000s online on eBay. That was my first taste of it, And
A gateway.
that was the gateway drug. Yeah.
Yep.
And then after that graduated into Amazon. I'm like, all right, how do I do more of this? And I went from eBay to Amazon. And, in between there, I was doing all the thrift stores and I was doing the clearance racks and the garage sales and everything. And I got into Amazon, sold probably about 50K on there in 5 or 6 months and, broke even, made a little bit of money. But that got shut down when somebody bought a bunch of 1-star reviews on like my only product. So couldn't recover that. And that's when I got to the point where I'm like, all right, I need to build a list and be able to own my traffic and everything. So I went into funnels, got into all that stuff, studied copywriting, studied just marketing in general, marketing psychology, ended up writing webinars. So that's sort of where I got my name and how we developed into what we do now. So I had a lot of success running webinars, and our webinars have sold 10 million plus over the past few years. And now basically what we do is we have these short form webinars that we call sales call webinars. And that's what the agency does now, where, people can come to us, say, hey, I need more calls for my coaching business or my agency. We set up the entire system, do all the strategy, the writing, and put up that short form sales call webinar, and then launch ads, run ads, and scale it on up. So there's the long story version. Wow. If you want to go into any of those pieces, feel free to dig back deeper.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to do right now.
Let's do it.
So like there's like you mentioned in your story, 101 ways to make money online. And there's especially that's even more true now. There's so many different ways to make money online. Mm-hmm. What made you personally say webinars? Yes, this is my calling. What made that avenue jump out to you? Was it something about that? Yeah. And even then, could you tell us more about webinars for those that may have never heard of it before?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with webinars and then go into why I landed on them. So webinar sales presentation, basically, as I know it, right, there's several different, because there's informational webinars that don't sell anything. The ones that I was getting into were the ones that sold stuff. So It would be a 90-minute, 2-hour presentation that I would basically write up word for word. And it sold a product at the end, usually something $1,000, $2,000. And we orchestrated the entire thing to make sales. So I got into that. I was doing a lot of just I guess, marketing psychology stuff, like talking about offers and sales messages and stories and funnels and everything. And eventually I landed on webinars. I don't remember exactly what my first one was, but I said, all right, I'm going to go write this. Somebody hired me. I wrote it, and the first one, we got a few sales. And then the next one, we got a few more sales. And the next one, we got a few more sales. And, it started taking off. And then somebody else asked me to write one. And I'm like, okay. And, that's how it started out. But these were 300 slide deck presentations that were 2 hours long that I would write word for word for word for these clients. And it became a lot to manage. And that's when we transitioned into this new version of what I call the sales call webinar. So.
And the sales call webinar, how is that different than the 300-page one? Is that like, hey, these are the words, this is the script, or is that more like, what me and you are doing right now, where it's like, hey, if like learn to play off the cuff?
No, so the sales call webinar, we still use slide decks, so it's Google Slides typically. It's just not, the goal is different, so the function is different. We're not trying to get people to take out their cards and buy something. Now we're just trying to get them to take a smaller action, which is, hey, go book a call to get more info.
It's a smaller commitment.
Correct, which is why you don't need the super long presentation with the Q&A and breaking all the objections and everything like you do in a typical webinar, because a lot of that happens in the sales process once they actually book the call and get on the phone.
So once you get to the one-to-one conversation.
Correct. So it's a lot shorter too. Usually they're 5 to 20 minutes. And it's pretty simple. It's more offer driven. So it's less storytelling, less beliefs, and it's more, here's what we got. Here's why it works. Here's how it works. Go get it. Go book the call.
And have you seen more success in that? Like, hey, this smaller compact thing has seen more success than this long form, like more drawn out thing.
We have seen more success for our clients. And the reason why is not so much that this model is any better, because both work really well, but this is easier to pull off. Whereas like those longer ones, you got to get everything perfect, like everything. So, that's like the holy grail of marketing. Everybody wants that evergreen webinar where, they just set it, forget it, they run ads to it, and they're making $1 million overnight, right? It sounds great, but realistically, 99.9% of people will never have that. So for people who are earlier and don't have the budget to test and don't have the time to go and build this entire thing, this is a lot easier because you can get one up relatively quickly, and you could start booking calls and making sales, sometimes within 24, 48 hours after the launch. Wow. So yeah, it's quick and easy. There's less variables to get wrong. And therefore it's a lot easier for us as an agency to actually get people results consistently, because it's not so complex and it's not such a long process.
Yeah. It is that, like, when people are doing this, is there also that learning curve of learning how to take the phone call that they're being sent to? He's smiling. For those of you that are like listening to this, he's smiling.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Because most of the time that we work with somebody, we can book the calls, right? That's not the hard part. The harder part is booking calls with decent prospects, right, who actually qualified, have the money, are genuinely interested, they're high quality. And then the harder part after that is actually closing them on the phone. So where we stand right now as our agency is, we only do everything up to that phone call. Now we have sales trainers in place, we have sales processes in place, we can help them with all that, but we don't actually get on the phone. So what I say to people is, it doesn't matter how good we do, we can book you 100 calls a week, but if you can't close on the back end, you're going to end up firing me in a month anyway, because you're not making money, even if we did a good job. You know what I mean? So yes, there's definitely a learning curve on that side. So it's that constant battle between marketing and sales, right? Where, sales is saying the leads are crap on the marketing side. And then on the marketing side, they're saying, well, you can't sell. So we're always in that battle. And my goal eventually is to be able to just have a team that does the selling as well. So we are the complete package. That's probably coming soon enough. But for now, that's where we let off.
It's that, it's almost like what you talked about at the beginning of this conversation. Like, everyone wants that auto webinar, that automated machine that does everything automatically for us.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah. and you said like, oh, you're eventually going to be coming like, hey, we're going to have something where like the team can do the sales for you. And what does that look like where you have people who can like, sell anything? Like, would there be a process where like your team would have to individually learn every single thing that like different clients are selling?
Yep, exactly. So what it looks like, probably going to not necessarily a recruitment service, but we would almost be recruiting salespeople at that point. So once we got a client to the point where they have consistent lead flow, they have calls coming in, and we are confident on the marketing side, we would then go source somebody to do the closing and probably do the sales management in-house. So we get our own salesperson more or less, place them with this client, and then at that point, it's more or less our salesperson, our sales manager, but we're doing the marketing, we're doing the sales, and the client can just take the profit, right?
Wow. That sounds beautiful.
It's going to be beautiful. It's a complex system, that's for sure, to be able to do both.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you think about it, like this is why I think we've had not trouble scaling, but why we don't scale as fast as a lot of other people do, because there's copywriting agencies, there's media buying agencies, there's design agencies, there's sales agencies, there's recruiting agencies, and like we are doing all of this stuff custom 100% for every single client. So in theory, we're running a lot of businesses in one, and we have all these little departments in our business, and that's where things get complex, because people who are just running a media buying agency, it's like, okay, bring the client in, onboard them, show us the funnel, we connect the pixels, we run the ads, right? This is like, we do everything from the ideation, which is like, hey, I want to sell this, all the way to the back end and showing up to the calls and getting the right person through, and then eventually the sales too. So it's a lot of businesses in one, and that's where it gets really complex. But yeah, you're right, it is the dream offer, because I can go up to somebody and be like, hey, we'll do all the marketing, we'll generate all the leads, we'll do all the sales, you just fulfill, we'll take half the profit, and it's a no-brainer for anybody who doesn't want to do all of this stuff.
And I want to talk about that. Like, let's talk about that dream offer for a little bit, just that surrounding word.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like, oh man, like what would it be to have like a 3, a 5, or a 10K offer? Like, what is it? Like, it's so hard to imagine the architecture of something like that. And you have something where like almost like each individual little Lego piece you've built could be a different like 3K or 1K, like sometimes like a like beyond imagination for some people. Like offer. And so what I want to ask about that, like the architecture of a 3K offer, like what does it look like to have the architecture of a 3K offer?
So for our clients, you're saying?
Yeah, for your clients, or in general for someone who doesn't have that vision yet in order to become someone who would be ideal for you.
Okay. What I see is a lot of people in the marketplace who are trying to take an info product or a course, right, that they've had, and then bolt on coaching once a week, where it's just like a Zoom call. You jump on the Zoom call, get your questions answered, and they say, all right, now it's $3,000 or now it's $5,000 or whatever, right? Wow. And that's what a lot of people will do. And I think that those people will not last. And a real high ticket offer, there's choreography, there's intimacy, there's accountability, there's all of these other pieces that make people be successful when you actually buy in. So like, for example, I worked with a client one time, they had a $10,000 offer, and it was how to basically use JVs to sell more stuff, right? Okay. So joint ventures, go partner up with somebody, do a teaching, do some sort of something in front of their audience where you give value, and then you make a pitch at the end, right? And that was the whole model. Go find a partner, teach their audience, make a pitch. Go find another partner, And what was really cool about them was that they facilitated, they actually, they were coders and they had software and stuff. So they created their own software that just facilitated and orchestrated the whole process of going through the coaching program. So it's not just like, here's your video ball and then come see us once a week. It was like, they know exactly what step every single client is in, and then gave them the next step every single day. And then it said, so it was, hey, based on where you're at, here's the next thing you have to do. Do this today. When you're done with this, so it was like, here's the video you have to watch. Here's the action you have to take. Here's what you should have at the end. You know, maybe it's this document filled out. Maybe it's you need to write an ad today, or maybe you need to write an intro for somebody. And then here's where to go submit it for review. And then if you have any questions, by the way, here's a Zoom link. Here's a text link. Here's this.
Wow.
It's like, just imagine, you know, the success that that person has going through, as opposed to like, here's your video goal and here's, you know, a coaching call once a week. So I think that is what's in a good high ticket 3, 5, 10K plus offer, assuming that it's done with you, right? Now, once you get into agency services, kind of like ours, it's a whole different ball game where selling gets a bit easier, but fulfillment gets a lot harder. So that can look totally different, where the pitch is basically, hey, we'll do everything for you, right? I mean, how hard is it to say, you know, we'll do all the marketing, we'll do all the sales, we'll close everything, you know, you just give us profit, right? That's an easy sell. It's like, there's no risk, there's no nothing. So it's a lot easier to sell that way, but then, you know, you got all the pressure on your back. You got to make it work, you know?
Right.
So there's a lot more that goes into it. So it depends on if you're doing done for you, done with you. But anyway, I think the key is knowing where people are going to run into trouble and then just solving that problem for them. That's
and how do you find out where people are going to run into trouble? Do you ask them? Do you learn through past mistakes?
Yes.
Like, he's smiling again. He's smiling again.
Yeah, that's the one. So learn through past mistakes. So our agency over the past few years has developed so much and grown so much, and we've added, I think we're at 17 people now at the moment, and we're adding 2 or 3 more next week, and we added 1 last week. So yeah, it's been growing a lot. And basically what we find is, like, whenever we see something that works, we add it into all of our standard stuff. And we're like, okay, let's just do this. So let me give you an example, right?
Right.
So one of the problems that we run into with clients is, like, sometimes people will go, they'll put in their info, they'll watch the video, they'll fill out an application, but then they don't book a call for some reason. Right. So what did we do? Well, we had the client say, hey, go follow up with them. Go make sure they go book their call, right? So look at that person, go send them an email and a text saying, hey, you filled out your app, but you didn't book your call. So that was an obstacle that we were running into. So we're like, okay, what can we do? Well, we just set up a whole automation with a couple of tags and triggers so that when somebody fills out an app but doesn't book a call, we have a whole sequence that fires off anyway. You know?
So you don't physically, as a person, have to follow up with them. An automated system will do it already.
Correct. So there's an example. So we just said, okay, well, somebody ran into this problem. It obviously happened once or twice. Let's just make it a standard. So now every single client that comes in, we just write that automatically. Another example is, like, you know, we found out that text sequences were really powerful in getting more people through the door. So instead of just an email sequence, we'll send them a text too and try to get them to respond, and then have a setter go set up that conversation and turn it into a call, you know? So what do we do? Now we just added text sequences to everybody's thing. So obviously these are more things that we have to do as an agency, but that's what gets people success, because every time we run into a problem, we fix it and then we make it standard. Or if we find something that works really, really well, we just make that standard as well. And
is there ever a time where, like, you have to evolve based on changes? Like, maybe there's going to be a point where, like, hey, we were noticing that text standards aren't quite working anymore, so therefore we need to change to whatever the new thing might be.
Oh yeah, all the time. So, for example, when the whole iOS thing happened and everybody freaked out because their ads weren't working, right? So what did we do? Instead of just dealing with it, so we actually hired somebody new on the team whose job was to every single day do reporting so that we can get accurate data. So, and most agencies, if you look at them, you know, they'll do reporting once a week, every other week, whatever. We do it every single day. The client has a spreadsheet that shows all the numbers, and it's not just like, what is Facebook telling us? It's like, what is Facebook telling us? What is our funnel builder telling us? What is our autoresponder telling us? What is our form builder? What is our calendar telling us? So we run all the stats manually every day because we just need the data to be able to make decisions. Another example might be like, we saw that, TikTok style ads are working really well, not only on TikTok, but you run them over on Facebook, they outperform everything else. So we used to do these long form style, where you're talking, it's like a 3-minute ad. And now we found out that we can make a TikTok style ad where we just, point at some text and it pretty much outperforms every single time. So now we just make those standard. So yeah,
so you're taking the fit, like not changing anything, but just taking the TikTok ad and then running it over on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's amazing because if you went and see, and mine's been running for probably like 6+ months now. And it's literally me pointing at text like this. I'm just like, bing, 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 bing. And that's it. And all of my other ads, the well-produced where we got stock footage and we got music and everything, like this stupid little thing outperforms all of them.
Wow. And is it because it's like, it's just you, it's just natural. It's like not.
I think it's a combination of the platform trying to push that type of narrative, which is this short form video. And that's just what people want to see right now. It's like TikTok is taking over, obviously. So we take that theme and Facebook's doing the same thing, right? With stories and reels and all that. It's this short form vertical video. So we just ride the momentum and say, all right, let's try it out. So,
when that changes, we adapt.
Exactly. So we are constantly testing and testing and testing and testing. Because that's how we keep clients. We need to keep them getting results. So we're testing all the time. Hey, when something works, we get a little breakthrough. It worked on one account. All right, let's go test it over here next. If it worked on 2, all right, let's go test it over here next. Right. And then we just propagate it and see it works. And, it's not like it works on every account every time, but, we test, we see what works. And if it works, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So.
Wow. Is that, has there been anything that like you've pioneered? Like, because we can always learn from stuff like from other people, but has there been anything that you yourself have discovered that maybe other like agency owners like haven't?
Maybe, but like that abandoned call sequence, I don't think anybody else really does that I know of. I've never heard of anybody else doing that, but it's just a problem that we saw. And I said, all right, let's fix it. So we fixed it. So I don't think anybody else has done that. And I just want to just coin the term abandoned call because, like e-com, you have abandoned cart. This is abandoned call, same idea. So we added that in. I don't know anybody else who does that. Even that TikTok style ad, like I know people that are running ads from TikTok, but the exact one that I just talked about, there's like a copy framework that goes with it too. I've seen other people doing it now, which is funny. And theirs are performing obviously really well too, because I see them all the time and they're still running them. So that style ad, I don't know if I'd say I pioneered it, but I came up with it on my own. I didn't model anybody. I didn't follow a script. I just put it up and tried it out. And I've seen a few other people do it now. So those would be a couple things. I'm sure there's more, but those are top of mind.
Where can people find you, Brendan?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't do a ton on social right now. So
really?
I'm a bit, I know, exactly. But here's the thing is that I've been more or less, I vanished like 3 years ago once we set up our system, because then I had constant lead flow. Then I had calls coming in. Then I had all the stuff I needed. And I'm like, there's no need for me to be jumping around on camera all the time, going in Facebook groups, doing DMs or going live or creating content. And only now that we are more established, we have our system set up and everything, and I have some free time, I'm like, now I can start doing the organic side. So it's funny because I did things a bit backwards, but I guess you could find me pretty much everywhere now. As far as a website, the agency itself is called videogrowthsystems.com. So videogrowthsystems, plural.com. And then our top of funnel stuff, just like where you can go and see what I'm actually talking about, is right here at salescallwebinars.com.
Sales call webinar, like ta-da, scrolling across the screen. Look
at that. Yeah, so that's you can go right there. You'll see everything that I'm talking about in the system that we set up, and you can go through it live if you want to.
Yeah, and I'm personally going to go check out because I'm super excited. Are there any closing thoughts that you would like to share, Brendan? He's taking a drink of water. I'm sorry, he's not a ventriloquist.
No awkward pause. So, closing thoughts on that or in general?
Just closing thoughts in general.
Do you want like a life or a marketing or a what?
A closing life thing.
Closing life thing. Okay. Um, so I'll combine the two a little bit. So something I'm going through right now is the whole battle of, do I want to grow as big as I can, or do I want to relax and take a few years off? You know, because I have the option. It's like, I can keep growing this business. We have a team of 17 right now. I can scale it up even more. Like, I'm not doing a lot of the doing anymore. Um,
Ah,
but I can also do a little bit of the doing, kill the whole team, kill all the stress, get rid of it all, and make money and go travel like I'm going to. I mean, we just bought an RV. It's going to be here in like a day or two. And so we're going to go travel. And I'm like, you know, do I want to get rid of all of it, or do I want to just keep growing? So I don't know. I guess my thing right now that I'm going through as far as the life thing is like, what do you genuinely want, as
right.
opposed to what do you like? I might just be building the business because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. So
What? Yeah, like it's that whole thing of what do you truly want, and no one's ever asked us before, so we have to ask ourselves.
yeah, it's like, do I really want the big business because it's what I genuinely want, or I think that's the means to the end? And I don't know the answer yet. So
Right.
I would ask yourself that question if you're in a similar place, because
Mm-hmm.
you know,
And what's the end?
I don't know that piece either. So I'm not too sure, because I'm not even like a super money driven guy either, where it's like, oh, I need to make my $1 million and bank it and invest and all that stuff and like get all the fancy stuff. Like it doesn't matter that much to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I am somebody who is always craving the what else? Let's make it harder. What's the new challenge? And that's why I think I've been growing. So I think if I did go just give it all up and like play the easy life, I'd be bored. You know, I wouldn't know what to do. So I don't know. I would go back and consider like, what do you really, really, really want? And then is what you're doing actually a vehicle of getting that? Because if it's not, you might be wasting your time. And I don't even know if I am, but I mean, that's what's going through my head lately. So
it's almost that paradox of like we find ourselves in this situation because we're very goal driven people. But then we don't once we become these people, or we're already these people who are very like goal centric people. We're not someone who wants to just spend the rest of our life relaxing on a beach. We want to like then find like what's the next mountain to climb.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always looking for the next challenge. And I think if I ever did just give it up, I'd probably just miss it a lot and then go do something else. But I might have to go try that and see what happens.
Right. Yeah. It's like that, like maybe put yourself in a different position. And it's like, I don't like this, but I didn't know I didn't like it until I found myself here.
Exactly. And I think for a lot of people, it's like, if you think of like hierarchy of needs, right? I mean, we might be going over here. I'm not sure, but
no, you're fine. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
So if you think of like hierarchy of needs, and I talk to people a lot about this when they're pitching stuff, and it's like, you're pitching impact and you're pitching contribution, but the people that you're talking to, they don't have all the other needs fulfilled yet. Right. And it's like, I think in order for you to figure out what you really, really, really want to do, you need to have all those needs fulfilled. So it's almost like a game of like, get rich, get all the relationships, get everything, get healthy. And once you're like rich and healthy and have amazing relationships, then it's like, what's left? And then I think you'll actually find what you really like. Because I think that's where I struggle. And I don't know if you get there until everything else is fulfilled.
Yeah. I can tell you like right now, like what my pyramid kind of looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. Like after this show, like I'm going to go play like Elden Ring with one of my friends that's on like the other side of the planet.
Nice. And I'm halfway through it. It's killing me.
Yeah. Awesome. And we'll spend the entire time, like we'll co-op the entire game and we'll just like share stories.
Nice.
And that's like a lot of like my social like ladder.
Okay.
But I make sure that like every single time I work out my schedule for the entire week, like this is the work time. And then this is like we would call it the sacred time.
Okay.
And one of my coaches would teach me about this. Like, you have to make sure that this is part of the routine.
Yeah.
Because this is just as important as all the other things. And whatever you spend that on is like whatever your prerogative is. Like family, like family, meditation, religion, whatever have you, but there is like something in there that like you have to spend time on, because if that isn't in there, then like, what are we truly working towards?
And I think something interesting too is like if you want to know what somebody's values are, look at what they do when they have nothing else to do, and then look at what they spend their money on, that's outside of their normal expenses, right?
Right.
And that'll tell you where somebody's interests and values really lie. And I think that might be the hack to, figuring out what you really like, as opposed to like getting rich and, having amazing relationships and getting healthy and then figuring it out. I think that might be the ultimate way, but otherwise it's like, think about, you're doing nothing and you have all the money. Like, what are you spending it on, and what are you actually doing physically on a regular basis? And that'll tell you where your sacred time lies, I suppose.
Yeah. We talked a lot, like in one of my other groups that I host, we talked a lot about identity. And it's that like at least over here in the US, we have like, oh, hey, like, oh, what's your name? Like, oh, my name's Ben.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
What do you fill in with that blank? Like, is the thing, like, what do you fill in after your name? Like, oh, I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. I'm a teacher. Why is it always job? Because we're more than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or is it I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a whatever,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't have a lot of people filling it in with, oh, I'm a husband.
Yeah.
Because if someone, like, imagine like the common reaction if someone said like, oh, I'm a husband.
But
like,
think about this. Maybe in this circle, everybody defaults to the job, right? And maybe if this was a relationship podcast or a relationship show or a relationship group or something like that, maybe they'd say, oh, well, I'm a husband. Or maybe if it was a fitness group or show or anything, then it would be oh, well, I'm a bodybuilder. Oh, well, I'm I'm an Olympic runner. I'm a this, whatever, right?
Yeah, I'm this weight class.
Yeah, so maybe the identity really follows the context that you're asking the question in. Right?
Yeah, maybe it follows, maybe different identities are following different social circles.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, my name's Ben. I'm a Dark Souls player. I don't say that here. I say that in other social groups.
There you go. Exactly. Absolutely. Then you can go in it. Let's say you're playing Dark Souls or Elden. You're like, hey, well, I'm Ben. I'm this class, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a strength build.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's identities within identities. We don't always carry those within different social circles.
Right. So if you go to your family reunion, you're probably not going to be like, hey, I'm Ben. I'm a strength build warrior. You're going to say, hey, I'm this, right? So probably
I'm a strength build. I'm this far, but I'm getting better.
Yeah, exactly. So that's interesting, though. And yeah, I think you carry different identities depending on the context of the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
How do we? Yeah. We took a walk from like, oh, hey, where we're going in life after our work to then our identities.
Yeah. Yeah, we're jumping a bit, but I like it.
Yeah. So where? I want to toss the question back to you. Has this like clarified? Like, oh, hey, like where you're going with your RV, your physical RV or your mental RV?
So it is a physical RV, and I bought it probably last week. So we live in Charlotte here now, and decided that we want to go and travel and do stuff. And so I'm still going to work on the road, run the business on the road. But basically the game plan, somebody's driving it here right now from Phoenix to Charlotte. So cross-country trip before I actually get it, just getting it over here, So once we do that, we're probably going to head back up to New York, where I'm actually from, and renovate for a couple months, and then go ahead and hit the road. But I don't even know where we're going yet. No idea.
Rosemary is loving our discussion about identity right now.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Have you taken any, like, here's my question. Have you taken any road trips before, or is this a brand new adventure of like discomfort that you're going on?
Both. Yeah. So I have taken road trips before. I mean, I grew up doing, I grew up camping with my family and everything. So I was always into that, and I'm very familiar in that aspect. But I am scared as hell to go drive the thing. I'll tell you that much. A 38-foot RV. I've never driven anything bigger than like a big SUV. I mean, I've towed like boats and stuff, but this is going to be a big game changer. I mean, just sitting in the thing, like we went and saw a couple, you know, I'm over here in the driver's seat and the passenger seat's like way over there. And I'm like, you know, so
I can't pass you peanuts.
yeah. Like that's the scary thing about the whole thing is I'm not even scared to go live the life. I'm scared to pull out of the driveway. You know? But once I get past that, I think it'll be good.
It's like, well, we survived the trip, but we don't have a mailbox anymore.
Yeah, probably not. So once I get past that, I think I'll be more comfortable. But I got to get it to New York probably within the next month. So it's going to be one of those things where it's like, you just got to do it. That's how you're going to learn, right?
Yeah, you just have to do it. You'd have to get past that initial fear.
Yeah.
That's how we got here.
Yep. Hopefully no mailboxes along the way, but we'll see.
As long as we can get out of the driveway,
Yeah.
we can take our journeys one step at a time.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, get out of the driveway, get down the block. Maybe I'll test drive it around the block a couple times just to really
There we go.
go for the turns. That's probably the way to go.
Take it out into a parking lot where there's no other people, and then just drive it like that and see how you go.
Honestly, I probably will. It's a little scary. So,
Well,
yeah.
I can definitely tell you're going to be getting a message from me saying like, "Hey, how's the road trip?"
Yeah, by all means. Whereabouts do you live again?
I'm up in Michigan.
Okay.
So like if you go a couple hours north of Detroit, you're going to hit Saginaw. That's where I am.
Wow. Okay, so you're way up.
Yeah. It's not way up. Way up is the UP. That's where
Way up is Michigan for me. I'm down here in Charlotte, so anything above like I don't know, northeast or like I guess like Ohio and above is up.
Yeah, where if I throw a rock, I hit a Canadian.
Okay. That's like me too when I used to go to school. So we were 20 minutes from the Canadian border up in Plattsburgh.
Rosemary says I recommend that you watch Robin Williams movie RV.
Okay.
You will probably be I recommend that you watch that after your trip.
Okay. That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. Friday night, maybe I'll watch a movie. Nice.
I'll have to search like what that's on because that is actually a good movie. That will convince you not to buy an RV.
Too late for that one, Rosemary. Too late. Appreciate the recommendation.
Notice the emojis that came with that message.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be that second one as I'm driving.
Oh, I want to ask this question again to cover our bases. Are there any closing thoughts that you want to share with us?
I think I hit them.
Any famous quotes you want to share?
No, I'm really bad with quotes and movies and knowing people's names and all that. So that's not me. No, I'll give you a quote from me. Try to learn to drive your RV before you buy one. Maybe go test drive one.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been our interview with Brendan Kelly. I'm so glad that we got to sit down and he has muted his microphone because as just perfect on time, the woman has come in through the door.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week with another special episode of My Cool Friends. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to stay safe, stay healthy, learn to drive your RVs, and until then, ladies and gentlemen, have a safe and fantastic weekend. Bye-bye, everybody!
Thank you, Ben.